Hi friends, I am so glad you guys stopped by my channel. If this is the first time you're here, my name is Mindy Grace and this is my channel, Girl of a Different Era. So thanks for stopping by. And in this video, we're going to be going over the last part of the series of making my first custom dress. We're going to be working on the skirt and I'm super duper excited about that. Just to get it done. I finished my dress and I'm super excited to share with you guys how I did it. It's going to be a shorter video since at this point in making the dress, I was just like, I need to get it done. I was kind of going crazy because I wasn't giving myself breaks. I was like, just finish the dress. So I may not have gotten all the footage necessary, but you guys will be able to follow along. So just letting you know that, and with no further ado, and without the turkeys making any more noise, I think we should go right over there and look at the video clips and see how I self-drafted it. Yeah, exciting. Okay, and now here I just drew as straight as line as you can. I folded my fabric up like 4 times, I think, to make it short enough so I could just mark that line. And I do believe that's like one of the ways to get the straightest line is not having to cut it all in one humongous piece. And I'm just marking out the lines I need to cut with a yardstick. I had to do this a few times over actually. The panels were so long. And then of course just slicing it through. The key to this is sharp scissors. Okay, now here I am measuring out my panels. They weren't quite 2 yards long. I don't actually remember the measurement right now. At this point I was just like, get it done. So yeah, so I'm just trying to measure that. As you can see, I just drew the line and then getting those scissors and just cutting that first very large panel out. And now I'm just lining the 2 sides together. Now the nice thing is how I cut this is each of the two sides I'm using, they're the ones that are already finished, like on the edges of the material, so I didn't have to worry about seam finishing those, which is super nice because polyester can be a beast to do like the smaller types of work with. So yeah, a big tip if you're making a huge skirt, go with the sides that are already taken care of, so you won't have to worry about seam finishing them. That is my suggestion to you. And now I just took that seam to the sewing machine and I'm just sewing that down. I believe I was using, actually I didn't do a specific measurement, I just did above where that finish was. So it was somewhere between like 5/8 of an inch that I did. So yeah. And I ended up just repeating this process with all the panels that I cut for the skirt. So you guys won't have to worry about how I did those. Okay dokie. Now it is on to actually gathering the top of my skirt. So like I've sewn the panels together except for the last, so there's like an opening on each side. I didn't do that. And I'm just pulling those gathering stitches and just pulling that tight into a nice tight gather and then kind of stretching it out. So I've got 2 rows of basting stitches in case you guys are familiar with gathering. So just 2 rows of basting stitches and you leave nice long tails and then you grab those tails on the one side and then just start working it down. And it's a long process and my thread actually ended up breaking at one point, but I was able to salvage it, so phew. It is definitely an interesting process gathering such large amounts of material. Okay, so here we've got the finished look of what it looks like on the outside. Very nice and crinkly, I like to say. And then here's the inside. I've already sewn it to the bodice, so that was quite a process in itself. And now I am just whip stitching my lining to my skirt. So it's just going to all lie very nice and flat and look professional, even though the rest of this dress might not, but The stitches are a little big, but that's just what I'm doing here. If you guys are interested in more in-depth how to whip stitch, go ahead and check out my making 1860s petticoat out of bed sheets, and I actually sort of explain it more there. But yeah, really the point of the whip stitching is because you can't see it from the other side. So that was a nice thing working with such bulk here, is I really just, there wasn't much concern about trying to get everything so tiny. And it does provide a very nice clean look once you've got it all whip stitched down in place. And here's just sort of a close-up on what the whip stitch looks like. I don't know why it looks kind of fuzzy and out of focus. I should have gone slower. Okay, and now I was sewing in the hook and eye tape, and you see me sewing in the hook tape right here. And that was quite a beast in itself to do, so I don't know if I can exactly give you guys advice on how to do it because it was my first time using it. But pretty much I was just sewing down it, and then when I came to one of the hooks, I would just sort of, you know, ease my machine needle over that so it wouldn't break. But definitely I love hook and eye tape. You can find a huge selection of it on Etsy if you're interested in not having to sew in every single tiny hook and eye. Okay, now I came to the hem, and I just curled up, I believe it was 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, just curled that up and did that all along the entire hem. As you can see, lots of fabric here. And that's the first step to making a nice hem. Now the second part, I curled it up about 2 inches from including the part that I just hemmed down 1/2 inch, if that makes any sense. And I'm just sewing right down there. It creates a very nice clean look in the bottom and gives it a little weight to hang by. Normally I would be like having to whip stitch this in place, but as you can see here, I am pinning this beautiful lacy trim around the bottom, and that is going to hang past and cover up the machine stitches, so I don't have to worry about people seeing that. And yeah, so as you can see, I'm just attaching it on the one side. I'm sewing where the thick white embroidery is on the top, so where the lace gets the thickest, so it totally hides my stitches. And this one made me end up going like ups and downs a little bit because it wasn't straight on the top, but the point was, you know, just to conceal my stitches. Okay, and now I wanted to secure that Bertha collar that you can see that I was making in the other video, which is part 1, so check that out on my channel. And I'm just sort of measuring, I believe it was like 1/2 inch away from where the actual sleeve is showing, and I'm just taking a nice, you know, it's just nice stitches, just stitching it in place, pretty easy, nothing fancy, even though I think I'm supposed to especially tack it down. I'm just like, okay, I want to make this sturdy. No one's going to see it because of the ruffles and ruching. So that was actually kind of the fun part, because it's like, oh, no one's going to see this. I always sort of enjoy those what people don't know you're doing type of things. And now I wanted to make 2 different bows for the back of the dress to sort of disguise a little ugly accidental stitching that got there, and then one in the front to add a little prettiness. So I decided I was going to make 2 bows, and right here you see me working on the giant bow for the back. And I'm measuring out, I believe I did like 8.5 inches. And I made it like 4 layers thick because I wanted a nice stiff bow that was able to hold its own and not droop. Because is there anything sadder than a drooping bow? I should say more sad, but whatever. Sadder can work in this situation because it's so forlorn to see a drooping bow. So yeah, I'm just measuring that out and then pinning it, and I've got my scissors and just clipping that away, and of course the amazing pinking shears, I'm just trimming that down so the seam will not fray. And then since I flipped it wrong side out, I'm just measuring from it to make sure it's all even, and I've got enough on either side. And then I'm taking big basting stitches down the center of the bow just to kind of hold it in place before I add my ribbon and everything. So yeah, I just pulled that down, and I'm actually happy it turned out, though I wonder if people sometimes do it from the center, but who knows. And then I'm just got my you'll be able to see it a little bit better, some of the leftover lace. I'm trying to figure out how much I'm going to need here. And I don't know how many times I'm rolling it. What is that? I ended up rolling it a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, 8 times. I'm rolling it because I wanted it also to be nice and thick. And now I'm just sewing down the ends so it's not going to like come unrolled. And then I'm sewing about like 2 inches from the end where it's not going to be seen, just to keep it all in one nice place. And after I figured out exactly how I want it, I'm just securing those basting stitches and sort of figuring out what exactly I'm going to need for the width of my bow holder. I don't know what you want to call it, ribbon in the middle of the bow. And that took a little bit of fiddling. I won't show you all here because, of course, I'm not just going to be technical about something. So I ended up finding it. As you can see, I sewed a tiny little tube and flipped that inside out. I think I sewed that twice a seam. It needs a lot of reinforcement for what I'm going to put it through next. And it gets so narrow when you turn it inside out, so I really feel like you might be able to make it like a little bit shorter. So now I'm just wriggling it down the one side of the bow, and like I said, I think you can make the tube wider because it didn't compensate for how much smaller it gets when you flip it right side out. And so I'm just wriggling in. It's quite a process, and trying not to have it break in the process. But yeah, I eventually got it in, got it together. I was really happy with it. It just looks so fancy, and like it looked like I starched it because of all the layers I used. I mean, it's 4 layers for the bow and then like 8 for the tie thing. So definitely very stiff, and it was perfect because I had this leftover trim from the bottom of the dress. So in here's just nice still shot of it, and I didn't feel myself actually attaching it to the back of the dress, which I probably should have, but at this point I was trying to get it packed up to be sent away. And here's a small little bow I made for the front. It's not quite as neat as I wanted it to be. It looks actually more like a seashell. And as you can see, I added a little lace on the back to make it look like it's got tails, which was actually pretty. And here's just a little close-up shot of the waistband and the skirt. So, thanks for watching. It means a huge amount that you stopped by. And this is a small little channel, and I'm hoping to grow it. So if you like this video, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for the very exciting video where we're going to be going over pictures and video clips of my client actually wearing the dress. So we're all going to get to see it in motion and all those pretty angles. So if you've sat through the making series, definitely subscribe so you can see that video, because it's going to be the most fun one of all. Hands down. I've heard that before. They're like, oh, I love the showcasing video. So yeah, stay tuned for the showcasing video. And as always, if you enjoy it, give it a big like and let me know in the comments what you're thinking and if you've got any cool ideas for sewing projects you'd like to see. I always love to hear from you guys. And that's about all. So stay well, stay healthy, enjoy the winter, and God bless you all. Turn up the music. Home sweet home.